Welcome to the Irrelevant Podcast. I'm Nathan Jones with my co-host Alex Lewis. Back for episode 62. We have Jack Cambra here today. Jack, we always start out simply with just you just telling us who you are, what you're into, what's your thing, why are you here, why in the world are you, or what do you even offer to the world of physical strength and fitness? So for those who don't know, just give us kind of a quick, or just go as long as you want about who you are, man.
Cool, I'll do a quick one. I'm Jack Cambra. I'm out of Honolulu, Hawaii. We run a strength and conditioning gym. We remote program for all sports across the globe. I'm into, I guess, strength, conditioning, being good at my job, and I'm addicted to drag racing.
I like that I'm addicted to being good at my job. That's good. There's a lot of coaches that probably aren't addicted to being good at their
No,
job.
man, you got to take your job serious and always try to grow and keep learning.
So how did you come about into the strength and conditioning world? Kind of what's your background? What got you into it? What got you moving in this direction? And kind of how'd you start up?
Started young. I started lifting eighth grade because, going to high school in Hawaii, you're going to go play football, blah, blah, blah. Football was never really my thing, but it's just what you did. My father power lifted and was always with the weights and strength and conditioning and training. So my father got me into it, started me basic 5x5 kind of program. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was, what is it? Chest, shoulders, triceps. And then Tuesday, Thursdays was back, biceps, and legs, I think was a split. And that's just what I started with and just never really stopped.
Did you have good coaches in high school that kind of kept things going for you and kind of helped you develop as an athlete? Or kind of where was your direction
Lift-wise,
after that? Yeah, like
well,
lifting wise.
I tried football a little bit and I didn't like it. And then I tried powerlifting. I like that. I was always training. We didn't really have any guidance in the high schools. A lot of the high schools here don't have guidance. They don't have somebody coaching them. And it does make a difference. We actually coached the football team, their O-line here, and some specialty players in 2016, 17, and 18, St. Louis High School, the Crusaders, and they ended up fourth in the nation. They lost the
Wow.
championship in 2015. I don't know what their ranking was. I'm not sure, so I won't say. And then we took them all the way to number 4. In the 3 years we were there, we won 3 championships and we lost 1 game.
Oh my.
And every single one of our players went to college.
So what would you say your particular style of coaching is like? Like there's obviously linear, conjugate, block. How do you kind of structure your programming to help athletes get better at their particular, whatever their
I don't
endeavor is?
I don't think there's anything out there like our program. You can take pieces of it and look at it and be like, oh, that's familiar, that's familiar. But just like medicine, it's how it's stacked. You get some pain medicine, you have surgery, you take too much, you die. You don't take enough, you don't feel anything. You take just the right amount, you get the results you need, right? Not that I'm into pain pills or nothing like that. That's just a analogy I use. But it's the same thing. It's like medicine. So it's the doses of everything, where it's stacked, when it's stacked. Our program is heavy conjugate bias, and not just conjugate in its west side form, conjugate in its truest form, which is using anything and everything to build strength and conditioning. I think there's a lot of gyms out there that build strength. I don't think there's a lot of gyms out there that know how to do conditioning. It's completely separate. Like if you look at the track and field community, they're out there doing a lot of silly things. I think they could benefit from learning from the strength community, and vice versa, both ways. Everybody thinks the problem is categorizing. Everybody categorizes something too much. They see an athlete doing a sumo deadlift. Oh no, they're doing it for the gram, or oh, they're powerlifting. Instead of looking at it, what does the exercise do in its basic form? What is happening there, and how does it apply to sport? And I don't think people break it down enough and look enough at that, like in the community. But we try to look at that and build everything. So in our gym, somebody will gain strength, they'll gain weight, and their mile times will also drop, and their 40s and their vertical will go up, and everything comes together. And something that I don't know if there's a gym out there that can claim, we've been open for 14 years and we have not one injury in our gym or any of our athletes ever getting terminally injured on the field, ever, not once.
That's insane. Yeah, because that's not the norm in the world that we live in,
No,
especially.
man, knee issues, elbow issues,
Yeah,
all that stuff, shoulders, that don't exist in my gym.
that's
You
awesome.
do not, you do not, there's no reason to be at the top of powerlifting or strength game and be injured. That whole badge of honor because you're hurt thing is crap. Sorry. it's BS.
We
It's
agree.
you have to be that way.
And we definitely agree. I think Alex has mentioned that multiple times. Like, I don't know why people feel so banged up heading into their meet. He's like, I feel great. You know, like he structures it
Yeah.
well enough to where he feels really good. That's the whole point of the leading up to the meet and tapering and things like that. But so that's good, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think people stay there too because I think a lot of people it's hard to have the courage to get a total and stand by it. So, if they go into a meet, like, oh, I'm a little dinged up, this is sore, and they just kind of let it be sore, they have a built-in excuse not to do good.
That's fair.
Yeah, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Like I've had athletes that don't want to try their hardest because they have an excuse then, right? Like so it's like,
Yeah,
oh, well, I would have, but this happened. It's like, no, fuck that. Just do the best you can and
yeah,
whatever it is what it is.
yeah.
And
They're
so
scared. They go up to 80% and they don't want to get that last 20% out of themselves because they don't want to. It depends on the type of person you are. Do you want to go to bed at night knowing exactly what and who you are, or do you want to go to bed at night not knowing? A lot of people don't want to know because they might not like the answer.
right. Yeah, that's true. Now you mentioned you were into drag racing. Now, a parallel I always draw to drag racing and powerlifting, like I look at powerlifting as the human form of drag racing. Would you say that there's like a lot of things that are very similar between those two?
1000%. I'm so stoked you said that because I believe my ability to do what I do in the gym, coaching my athletes, positions, and watching is based on my skills I got in drag racing. Like when you're racing something that's really quick, you have to see what's happening in 60 feet. And 60 feet happens anywhere from, for me, 133 to 1.47 seconds. And I can talk to you about what happened in that 60 feet for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So watching somebody squat, it's easy for me to see when something's out of position. I don't have to put it in slow-mo or play it back. I have that skill from that. And then the other parallel is how I build my race vehicles would be how I build my athletes. So you take your vehicle, and the first thing you do to your vehicle is you make sure everything's working in the right way. In your car, your door hinge bends one way. If you bend it backwards, it breaks the hinges, right? Make sure everything's working clean and clear. Then you strengthen the vehicle, the drivetrain. So that'll be the tendons and ligaments and getting all the balance and the mobility going. You strengthen the drivetrain. So when you add the horsepower, you don't break. It's exactly the same as racing. It's exactly the same as any motorsport. Even look at motorsports, right? You might have the Baja 1000, you might have a hill climb, drag race, Formula One. What's the number one factor in all of those sports? If you break, you lose. You have to be able to endure, and horsepower is king. I don't know where people train for sports and powerlifting and they do movements that don't build power. Don't get me started on Bulgarian split squats, bro. Don't get
Oh, start it. Start
it's trash. It's absolutely it's dangerous to the knee. It's dangerous to the knee,
Now,
and bilateral builds unilateral.
are you talking about the people that are like with the SSB in the rack, banging their knee on the ground, loading that thing up? Is that kind of what
Yeah,
you're
loading
referencing?
that thing up. There's that one guy that I'll give a pass. That's the cyclist, Robert. His last name starts with an F. He's got like 32-inch quads.
Right.
I give him a pass because something he's doing in his programming, his knees haven't been hurting him. So he's doing something right. But everybody else, I think it's a waste of time. Bilateral builds unilateral. You can one-legged squat till the cows come home. That weight will still be not under the weight that you can do with both feet bilaterally. Whatever you move the most weight with is going to make you stronger everywhere else. So I don't know why, like if you wanted to bench press 300 pounds for 20 reps, most people would do what? They'd go and they'd start doing 20 rep sets here and there. Yeah. But if I want to make you bench 300 for 20 reps, I'm going to make you bench 415 or 400. Because if you can do 415 or 400, you'll be able to do 300 for 20 reps.
That's funny you mentioned that. I was just training a marathon runner today, and she's like, I think we need to do more unilateral stuff because, that's just what, and I'm like, need is a strong word. I go, if mentally it makes you feel better and like you're getting more out of it, that's fine. I go, but you're gonna get stronger doing bilateral things. Like we're not
Amen.
gonna fucking not do those. And she was fine
Yeah,
with that, but I understand like there's a psychology with someone like this who just started with me where I'm like, all right, I gotta give and take a little bit here. I'm not gonna like we did accessories unilaterally, like leg curls and shit like that, because she does have one side that does not function well
yeah,
relative to the other. So it's like coordination wise, maybe there's some legitimacy to it, but I'm full agreement with that. Like you have to be able to build strength, and absolute strength is king, right? And that's going
yeah.
to be best done in a stable bilateral environment.
Yeah, and what people don't look at is because bodybuilding has such a huge influence over all training in America, people don't look at kinetic linking. Our muscles, you can go to kinesiology and study all of that, and you can see how your muscles work individually, but how does your body work as a unit linked? That's how we move every day. Just walking is a balance of all our muscles. So I believe that when you break it down to a unilateral movement, you get good at a unilateral movement. I don't believe that it crosses over. So like in my gym in our program, what we do is we might have an exercise that might need a bridging exercise. And a bridging exercise is an exercise that takes an exercise from strength or conditioning into athletics. Some exercise directly crossover, some need a bridger. I don't care how many bridges you build. I don't see any use for split squats or unilateral even. I mean, here's the other problem that nobody really thinks about is if you have an imbalance, how is using one leg or arm on that imbalanced side going to fix the imbalance when the imbalance is magnified by being one-sided?
Right.
The imbalance becomes magnified.
Mhm.
You know, you got to imbalance it two legs. Now it's really bad on the one side. You might be able to do the movement, but maybe your knee is a couple millimeters too in, or your foot's rolling in, or something's off, and it's just too dangerous. I would prefer to bring up an imbalance and use bilateral every time. You got to ask your marathon runner, does she run on one foot?
Right. Right. Yeah.
That
For the sake of
case
today, I was
closed.
just like, yeah, we'll incorporate whatever makes you
Case
mentally
closed.
happy. It was one of
Yeah.
those things. But no, I fully agree. The bilateral thing is like, because I'm like thinking about this, I'm like, yeah, you have a bilateral deficit, but the amount of strength you can add because of the stability, I would be curious, like how much it counteracts any of the unilateral stuff that you can allegedly do without the deficit, right?
There's so much better things that you could do in the gym at the same time. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's just, I feel like with our program, what we do is if I can find one exercise that does three things, I'm not going to do the three things on top of that exercise. I'm going to use one thing to eliminate everything because I honestly feel the future of training is going into the gym and training for 20, 30 minutes and leaving one thing and then coming back and just hitting the right perfect amounts of the right modalities throughout your weeks to get a goal. And another thing that everybody kind of gets locked into is the weekly schedule, what you fit
Right.
in 7 days. Like I ran a conjugate style strength program once where we did like a dynamic squat day and we might not hit another squat day till the end of the month, which is a max effort, like spaced out. And my kids got strong. That's what I used when I trained the football players because I had barely any time to train them. I had 10, 15 minutes a day to train them. So we did a version of that. And my kids' first 600-pound deadlift came in. So we started season in August, and we're in the championship game at the end of November. And one of my kids pulled 600 2 weeks out from the championship game, and he'd been training from August till late November, only with 10 minutes a day, 5 days a week. That's it.
Crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's I think that's the future. But as we get all the phony influencers and phony coaches, they're gonna want to make people stay busy. That's another thing with the industry is I don't know how we let people who know nothing about fitness drive what we do in our business because people are concerned with making money. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
absolutely.
100%.
Somebody without experience like you, somebody asks for, unilateral. Next thing you know, their whole program's unilateral.
Yeah.
They don't care
Right.
about the result. They care about keeping the person happy. If somebody's going to walk out of my gym because they don't trust what I'm doing, then they should leave because my results are proven over and over and over again. Results here they aren't a once in a while thing. They're an everyday thing with every single athlete.
It's crazy. Like, yeah, you have the track record. Like you said, you've been doing this for 14 years or around that time frame. Is that correct?
Publicly for 14 years. I've been training since I was
Yeah.
12, 13, and I've trained people. My dad also he was a boxing coach too. So sometimes when people were really, really green and they'd come over and they're new, he would have me work with them as a little kid working with adults because they were just too new to work with him. So I've been coaching a long time, 14 years publicly though.
It's always interesting then because it's like you have this great track record and you have these great results and you have all this data essentially that you've shown people how to use the roadmap to get to the result they want, and they still walk away from you just because of certain biases that they've created within their own mind about what training should look like, which is
Yeah.
incredible to me. So yeah, that's a tough dynamic, I feel like.
It's a big one we get in powerlifting. We take somebody so far beyond what they thought was possible, they'll win best lifter and then quit because they hit something that was so far above their goals that they didn't know where to go with it from there because they didn't want to set their goals even higher. It's wild, man. I think the reason why I'm the most unknown coach is I think we do so many things that I don't spend my time in one area so much to get really popular because PR is not my thing. You can be good at PR, you can be good at what you do. If you're taking the time to be good at PR, you're worried about camera crews, you got 5 guys filming, you're worried about angles, you're not training or doing your job, you're not coaching. You're not. You're good at PR. So the guys that are really good at this, not a lot are going to have a social media following or, you know what I mean? There's a lot of guys out there that people say are good that aren't good either too. I'll be straight up. I'm not mentioning no names, but
It's funny that you say that. The guy that got me into powerlifting was actually coached by you at one point in time. I don't remember if you remember Mark Ho that was out there in Hawaii at one point, but
Marco, I'm sorry, bro. I coach a lot of people.
that's fair. He's literally, I think he's a 175 or under, and he squats 600, benches for like the dude is so fucking strong, it's ridiculous. But then also, I look at your wife, and she's a fucking freak. Like the shit that she does is absolutely insane. Are you guys going to the pro-am in Cincinnati?
Yeah, we're prepped and ready for the pro-am. Right after we get done with this, we're gonna finish our max effort leg day today because we don't do deloads. It's not even a real word. It's not in the dictionary. But so we're gonna train right after this. Yeah, we've been prepping for that. No offense to anybody if you guys do that, but yeah, deloads don't work.
Yeah, anybody that doesn't know, how do you say her name? I don't want to pronounce it wrong, but
Stacia.
Stacia? Yeah, that girl is absolutely insane. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, she makes me look like a giant pussy, and she weighs what, 100 pounds?
She literally walks around at 104 to 105 right now. We're
Wow.
she's really light in body weight. And a lot of people look at her and think that she's born with all these genetics, but she's worked for every pound, man. I remember when I first started training her, we couldn't do 5-pound jumps. We had to buy micro plates and do like half-pound jumps to 1-pound jumps to 3-pound jumps to be able to do 5-pound jumps. Now we make 60-pound jumps. I've trained her to make big jumps. And another thing she doesn't get credit for, completely 1000% drug free.
That's even more incredible. Fucking
Yeah,
that's insane.
I don't like to talk about it because if complaining about drug use in powerlifting is like complaining about football pads in football. Just shut up. It's stupid. You know what I mean? Like, we're the outlier. We're the one oddball. So we don't really talk about it. And we get accused of being on drugs because we compete with the non-tested meats. You guys want to take a guess why we compete in the non-tested?
So you can beat the people with drugs.
You want to go against the best. They're not going to be in the IPF or the USAPL. They're going to be out in a non-tested meet doing real weight. Like, you know what I mean? And we want to go against the best. We don't want to be against the best standing in this room at this time on this day. You know what I mean? Too many details. Like there's new all-time world records for everything. That kills me too, man. All-time world record, 3 years old, standing in the garage. Like all-time world record means one person at that body weight has hit that lift at any age in any country, and that's it. That's my thought on it.
Doesn't she have something
I don't
crazy
my
like 12 of
all-time
those?
world records. What's that?
Doesn't she have something crazy like 12 world records or some shit?
12 all-time world records, true all-time world records. She's
Fucking
lifted
Christ.
12 times something nobody's ever lifted before. And her all-time world records are in squat, bench, deadlift, and total. All 4 aspects of
Wow.
powerlifting, not just a one-trick pony.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
The big thing with our training here is I train who walks in my gym. If I'm not training a bunch of powerlifters, because a bunch of powerlifters aren't walking in my gym, I don't recruit. She's kind of just the ongoing result of our program. She's stuck, she's trained, she still loves it. And yeah, man, she's not the same as because she's my wife or because I'm her coach. Like just looking at her from an outside perspective, she's insane. Like, to lift what she lifts, be able to flip and be mobile and flexible. I mean, she is my program in human form.
Right. How much do you say of like what she's capable of doing comes from the Olympic lifting? Because I know you do have her do some of that stuff, right?
Nothing of the strength, I feel. It
Okay.
does some stability and whatnot. I use Olympic weightlifting 100% for mobility. 100%. You can walk into these gyms and you have these guys who be like, okay, for this first week, we're going to test your mobility and do all this. And then make somebody come in 5 days a week and test every little this and that. And all you have to do is make somebody try an overhead squat with a PVC pipe. That's it.
Right.
That'll tell you everything. Ankle immobility, hip tightness, shoulder issues, thoracic immobility. It'll tell you everything, one movement. So once you learn to snatch and get in those positions and clean and jerk and get, your mobility with your elbows up and everything else, we use the Olympic lifts to maintain that mobility. Now, of course, she's going to go as heavy as she can, and she does lift a lot. But they changed the weight classes in Olympic weightlifting. And kind of basically what it did was give us a middle finger, because I think they changed the weight class from 105 to 107 or 109 or something. I'm sorry, I don't know it exactly. But what they did was, when they changed the weight classes that way, they allowed 120 pounders to cut down to 107 or whatever, 109 or whatever it was. We weren't competing against people against our size anymore. So we just kind of, whatever. She's a natural 97. There's no 97 in weightlifting. So 105 is already above our class.
That's crazy. And what's she competing in powerlifting? What weight class does she do there?
We've been at 105 for a little bit because she had her little growth spurt. But 97 is our class. That's our main class. About 97 and 105 is what we've competed in. And she's even drank a bunch of bottled waters once to do 114 a long time ago. She had to weigh in at 6, right? So she had to.
She's even done the crazy shit like the WPO, where there is no weight class and they base it off like your Glossbrenner store, right?
Oh, I like that the best. That's my favorite. Yeah, we were the first one we did. We don't watch our results during a meet. I don't ever look if we're gonna get best lifter or if I gotta take this attempt or whatever. We have a plan on a card. Actually, we have 3 cards, 3 index cards, and we have 3 plans, A, B, and C, depending on what our warm-up looks like. And we don't change that plan for nobody. So we were standing in the back of the WPO messing around, and they're in the front filming, calling her because she took 3rd, and we had no idea that we even placed. She had to get dressed, throw a shirt on, and run out on stage because the filming was live. So I like those meets where they do by formula. But the formulas need to be updated more often.
Yeah. How do they do the Glossbrenner one? Because I just joined the APO and I'll be doing my first meet with them this
Brother, I have no
summer.
idea. I look up a calculator online, and then I have no idea. Our total is our total. What they want to do with the total compared to our body weight after whatever formula they want to plug it through, whatever. It's never, for us, what we've experienced a lot of is the Glossbrenner was good. It was fair. But a lot of the formulas aren't fair to somebody who's her size, who's light. I mean, we've gone 8 times body weight in a meet, and somebody who was 2 times body weight won best lifter.
That almost sounds like a popularity contest at that point.
Well, USAPL. I mean, not USAPL, excuse me, USPA. A lot of bull crap in that place.
Yeah, I don't hear many good things about the USPA. I never competed. I only competed in WRPF, and then I switched over to the APO as soon as it came a thing.
I'm not going to mention it on here, but we got some horror stories with them.
Noted.
Dang it. Dang it.
What I'd say is, though, compete wherever there's a competition. The most important thing is the lifters. It's not the federation, and people need to stop giving them power. If you got a meet and you want to enter and it's in your neighborhood and it's some powerlifting federation that you heard about, just go enter the meet and see what it's about. If you feel unsafe or something's weird, leave, report it, whatever. But what I'm saying is just go do the meet, because you might have somebody in your town that's doing a federation that is absolutely amazing in your state or your town that might have trouble somewhere else that has nothing to do with you. And people are too busy staying in their federations. Like, we compete in everything. We're not going to be a part of some federation that tells us that if you compete somewhere else, you can't do this, you can't do that, or whatever else. Hell no. We're not doing that. The lifting is about the lifters and their total. With no lifters and no total, there's no federations and no judges trying to get famous. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way to look at it for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, we've caught flack from USAPL people for years and years and years. A gym popped up here. Yukio is the name of the gym, and they got powerlifting going, and they run meets, and we did a meet there with them, and we got treated good. They didn't give us no BS. So, I mean, what are you going to do? You can't judge till you go and do it,
And I wish I had good experiences with the USAPL.
I was about to say, Alex, it doesn't sound like anything that you experienced at your USPL.
See what I'm saying? But see, we were expecting to have that bad experience because of,
Right.
you know, judges and people talking trash on us. You know, we always felt like if we went and did that, that they'll try to make an example out of us. But these guys here, they treated us really, really good. They treated us really good. You know, they treated us like everybody else, and that's all we ask for is consistency. Don't treat nobody different. Just be the same. If you're gonna be an a-hole, be a-hole to everybody. And you can respect consistency.
You're gonna
You
red
can't-
light everyone. If you're gonna red light one, red light them all. Just move
Hey,
on.
you're a strict judge and you're like that, and that guy's like that for everybody, then that's what he is.
You know
gotta
what it is. Yeah, you know what it is.
learn how to pass.
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand in powerlifting, you choose your opponent. You pick your calls. A failure to get a total is a complete miscall and a complete egotistical move. Sometimes things happen. But if you're making your calls, how do you miss how do you bomb out?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, how do you bomb out? You pick your opponent. So a meet should be individualistic, shouldn't be about the Fed, shouldn't be about judges. You should know what the judges want. If you got a judge, you know they're going to be on the platform, they're super strict, and maybe you should lower your openers. You know, if you feel like you have a problem getting to depth or whatever it is, fix it. You're picking your opponent. How do you lose?
How far out in advance? And I'm new to this still, but like Alex, maybe you can help too. Like, how early in advance do you know who the judges are going to be for the meets that you're going to?
I'll be honest. For me, I really don't know and
Right.
don't. What I do is the opposite. We train for everything.
Right.
I make sure when we squat, we're squatting to the depth we need all the time. I make sure we're in the positions we need to be all the time. We're making sure knees don't go soft. We're making sure elbows are locked. We make sure all of those things. We do long pauses in you know, a lot of judges who show favoritism love to give lifters, they don't like long pauses. Long pauses on the chest. So we train long pauses. Throw it at us. Throw it. You know, she's a professional lifter. For years and years and years, she was actually paid to lift. My wife was. And it's a job. So you want to be good at your job. You got to be prepared for everything. You can't cry about the judges or cry about this and that. I mean, we've blatantly got bombed out of a meet once, squatting all the way to depth. And you think like, oh man, what did we do? So I narrowed her stance and I made sure that they could never ever do that again to us. You know, just adapt, and that's it. That's all you can do.
Yeah, if you're good where you need to be good, and then they call you short, you know, if the judge is a little more lenient and you can hit it higher, then you can hit it higher. You know, so I agree with that statement. That's really not. That's good.
We don't even do that, man. We squat to depth. We make the lift. I don't allow anybody in my gym to cut depth. If somebody says cut depth in my gym, I lose my mind. You squat to your hamstrings to get against your calves and you stand up.
That's
geared squats are different because the wide stance only allows a certain place for the hips to be.
Right.
To be honest, you know, geared lifting has to be judged a little different than raw. But as it goes for raw, wherever your stance is, narrow to wide, wherever you're bottomed out, that's bottom.
That's what I like. Alex catches a lot of flack because his ass is literally farting on the ground whenever he hits, you know, the bottom of his hits the bottom of his squat. But he's like, he's never gonna miss. He's never gonna miss on a depth call. You know what I'm saying? So
I mean, most people don't miss in the hole; they miss out of the hole.
Right.
You know, like you're getting that stretch reflex in the bottom of the squat. Everything's maxed out. The kinetic energy is all there. It wants to come up. You're a loaded spring. When you stop yourself you cut depth, you literally have to stop all momentum and inertia and then reverse it. But if you squat all the way to depth, you're using your body's mechanics to reverse the weight so you can use more strength on the standing.
Man, and those knee sleeves they make nowadays. Holy shit, do those.
Yeah, man. They're like one-piece wraps.
Yeah. I've had people tell me that. I have a client who's she deadlifted in Texas all through high school, and she's like, I got her some knee sleeves, and she's like, these feel like wraps. I'm like, well, that's sweet.
I'm for it, man. I believe you use tight sleeves, you use more weight. The more weight you use, the more weight you're gonna lift. Period.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. How many times has she always done the Cincinnati program? Is like I think this is the 4th year they're doing it. Is that right?
I think we've done 2.
Nice.
I think we've done 2 so far. We were supposed to do the one last year, and literally, I think it was 4 days before we left, I had a respiratory infection, and I coughed really hard and fractured my rib.
Oh fuck.
So sitting was absolutely horrific. So we decided to scratch the competition, but that all worked out well because we ended up doing a competition here called the Tijuana Games. It's like a Polynesian Olympics. She entered it, and now she's invited to go compete in Tahiti. So that was all meant to be. But yeah, we missed the last one we're supposed to make, which we're bummed because we love Laura and
Mhm.
we love their meets. So
Yeah, it looks like an awesome one, and it's cool that it's an all women's pro-am. Like that seems like she's
yeah.
turned that into a super big deal, and like it looks like there's a lot of good competition.
Oh, it's awesome. It's just, of course, as usual, the only douchebags are the men there, but the women are all awesome.
Funny you say that. I think I have like maybe 2 or 3 dudes that are powerlifters. The rest are all chicks, and
Yeah.
they put in so much more work. It's mind blowing to me most of the time. I'm like, where the
Ego.
fuck did you guys come from?
Zero ego, bro. Yeah,
Yep.
that's what it is. My women in my gym get so damn strong. Like everybody marvels at Stacia. But I had a girl in here right before COVID hit. We were supposed to do the Hawaii Fit Expo. And she was on par to pull 400 pounds. She was 14 years old and she weighed 114. She
Jesus
put
Christ.
330 into 55 pounds of chain months before the meet. And then COVID hit, the meet got canceled. She got a boyfriend. She quit the gym. She turned 15. Man, if we would have set that record, 400 at 114 at 14, that record would never be broken. Never, ever be broken, ever. But it's gone.
Guys
So,
just
yeah.
making freaks out here in Hawaii.
And you know what it comes down to? I didn't mean to get off track, but it comes down to being, like you said, the women, man, they have no ego. They'll do what they're told. They don't try to think what's going on. They're not on Instagram looking at what Joe Schmo is doing this week and everything else. Because, guys get into that. We don't get into that. You know how many times we were like in a head-to-head meet to compete with somebody, and if you went on their gym lifts, you would absolutely just get decimated, and you go to the meet and nah, not even close. So
Yeah,
I think
that's an interesting thing. Do you see a lot of people like hit crazy shit in the gym that and all of a sudden they obviously don't know how to peak, and so on the platform they just completely shit the bed? Is that something you see pretty frequently?
see that majority most of the time than anything else. We were lucky. I was lucky to be able to coach because my wife had so many all-time world records. We always were invited to Boss of Bosses. We're always invited to record breakers, and we got to do these big meets like WPO where all the best are there. And those meets, it's really nice because you see it's your Instagram feed live. Every badass lifter that's legit is right in front of your face. But when you go to regular meets, I see people, making small mistakes that cost them big time. Guys cutting for meets and have no reason to cut, no need to cut. Guys thinking that just because you squat, bench, and deadlift in the gym, that's a powerlifting meet. What you do in the gym has nothing to do with a meet. People aren't defining what a powerlifting meet is. A powerlifting meet is showing up somewhere that's not your usual training space at a time that's most likely not your normal training time. And you have to be on time, on the spot, on the platform, judged by strangers to a certain degree. That's what a meet is. A meet has nothing to do with squat, benching, and deadlifting. It's everything else that happens. That's why I'll say to the very end, if you don't enter a meet, you are not a power lifter. And I don't care how many people unfollow me because of this. If you don't step on that damn platform, you are not a power lifter. If you play flag football in the park, you're not an NFL football player. You know what I mean? Like you're not real.
That's a
Under
good
the rules.
analogy. That's a good analogy.
You can't take away the courage that it takes for someone to step on the platform. It doesn't matter what they lift. I went to a meet and there was a lady lifting and she lifted, like 50 pound squat and she did, a 45-pound bench and I think like a 65, 85-pound deadlift. And she impressed me the most out of everybody because she didn't care what people thought. And she lifted what she could to the rules that day under the judges' calls. And she got a total. It's not what you lift, it's showing up and doing it. And all those people who think they're powerlifters who don't actually powerlift, they can't say that because they didn't have the courage to enter a meet. So you can't take away from the people that have the courage to do a meet and say that you're a powerlifter when the people who do a meet earned the badge of being a powerlifter. You don't just get to say that. You don't get to say you're Mike Tyson because you punch a punching bag in your training. Like, sorry, doesn't work.
Yeah, Jake Paul's about to find that out.
I hope so, man. I hope baloney, man. You know,
Uh,
I thought it was just like, Jake's gonna, win it by this and that. And then I thought for a second, like, Mike Tyson's got to be laying in bed at night. He might have started this for money, but Mike Tyson's got to lay in bed at night and think, I'm not gonna let the end of my legacy be getting beat by Jake Paul.
agreed.
And if Tyson taps into that part of his psyche, can I swear on this podcast? Jake Paul's fucked.
I don't
You
know if
just
you've
gotta
ever
touch him
seen.
once.
You ever seen the Rogan Experience episode where he interviews Mike Tyson getting ready to fight Roy Jones Jr. and
When
then
he made
Rogan
his
talks
table
about it?
bigger.
Yeah,
when he made
he's
his
like,
table bigger.
yeah, he's like, I was absolutely terrified to sit across from him. I go, yeah, that guy's a different fucking animal. Like that's not a normal human being at all.
No, yeah, I hope he, of course, he has the tools. I hope that Mike Tyson shows up. I hope he doesn't. I don't think Mike Tyson. I'm not saying he'll throw a fight or baloney or whatever, but I just hope he shows up to knock this guy out, and he doesn't show up just to box.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Paul's people put in the contract that they have to wear headgear. Am I misinterpreting that somewhere?
Yeah, I think you might. I heard that. I don't know if that's true, but I know you can only win by knockout, and there's no judges.
No judges.
Enter a match with Mike Tyson with those rules.
I don't know, but I know he's gonna wear headgear. I have heard that one too. So I mean, it's not gonna matter when he hits you, but
it's not gonna matter. You can't wear headgear on his ribs. Mike Tyson hits him with a body shot. It's gonna be a whole different world that he's never been in.
Yeah,
you better hope to God it's not on his liver side, because if he hits his liver,
Dunzo.
God bless.
I also heard I don't know.
Pray
if
to God that Tyson don't hit him with another left hook as he's dropping, back when he was young.
I don't know if this is true or not either, but I did hear a rumor that his brother can, like, if he taps out, he can just enter into the boxing match somehow. And so that's what I'm scared. It's going to turn into some phony baloney BS fight, but I hope not. I hope Tyson shows up, and I hope he kill somebody.
I wish Logan Paul would jump in that ring if something happens and see how that works out for him. It's like, trying to fight a chainsaw that's stuck on the throttle. What are you going to do with that?
No, thank you.
The training videos of Tyson, he still looks absolutely terrifying at whatever 57 years old or whatever he is. Like, what the fuck? Like, no way would I want to fight that guy.
I don't think you lose as much as people think with age. I think that what people confuse with losing tools is losing mobility and losing certain things. Mm-hmm. And Tyson has problems with his sciatica, but he's never lost. I mean, look at him. He's still fast. He's still faster than most people out there.
Well, he's probably has the money for the drugs too now. Like, you're probably not going to test for those things. Like, you give him the GH and the testosterone, see what happens. Like, go ahead and turn back the clock.
I don't know if he'd want to. We'll know by his size. I don't know if he'd want to be too much over 220, because usually when Tyson fights over 220, he didn't do as well conditioning wise. Mm-hmm. But he comes in at 215, 217, maybe some recovery. I don't know. I can't speak on that. I just know that he has velocity in his hands, and speed kills. Speed kills.
Speaking of that, how do you train that with your athletes? Do your typical splits look more like a traditional West Side template with dynamic effort? Or how do you kind of wave in your speed work, or do you do speed work through just jumping, or how do you kind of work in making people explosive? Is it just lifting heavy ass shit?
I'll call it the remix. No. So we do kind of, we do 2 squat days. They're box squats. I wouldn't really call them dynamic or max effort. I go by feel, first of all. But getting back to your question, I don't have my athletes jump that much, because jumping is the test. You have to build the test. So if you're going to take a test on Friday, you're going to study and do homework all week. You don't take the test Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You don't keep taking the test to try and do good on the test. So I train certain movements that train the muscles that function in the jump in the way that they function in the jump. So wide box squats and sumos build speed and they build explosiveness, because they emulate the knee angles that you are when you run. You're in when you're running. Go look at a slow motion video of Usain Bolt. Watch his leg come up. Watch his foot contact the ground. The second his foot contacts the ground, his ankle is under his knee, and his hamstring is extending to move him forward in conjunction with the glutes. The only way to train that function in the gym is with sumo deadlifts and wide West Side style box squats, because that's the only exercises that emulate that knee positions. So those two. And then what I would consider a jumping exercise in my gym would be cleans and snatches. Same exact muscles, same exact thing. My guys don't come off the ground. They don't push too hard through their toes. Therefore, we don't risk the Achilles. I don't have my guys jump that much because these kids come in here and these athletes are so tight already that I usually have to mobilize and loosen up their Achilles, their soleus, not their Achilles, but their soleus, which connects to the Achilles, and loosen that up and take care of pre-plantar fasciitis issues. So I just stay away from the jumping and I build the jump otherwise. And we've been pretty good. One of my football boys we're talking about, another one went to, actually it was the same kid that pulled 600. He went to a football camp. He was 289 pounds in the O-lineman and he verticaled 28.5 inches at 17 years old with a 600 deadlift and like a 550 squat and a 400 bench.
That's working against gravity pretty hard. My gosh, that's tough.
Mikey Miniham, he went to Georgia Tech on a full ride scholarship.
Wow. So you said that you use Olympic lifts to kind of retain mobility once you acquire mobility, if I'm hearing you correctly. So how do you get them to a level of like their mobility? How do you work on their mobility if they have those deficits? What do you do specifically for their mobility?
I like to use what I call barbell yoga. And what that is I like to choose the exercise. I like to choose exercises that will make them be in positions that require mobility. Our bodies, if you don't give a signal that is strong enough to elicit a neuroendocrine response, which I'm not trying to sound smart over here, it just means that your body reacts hormonally to the input that you're doing. You need to be able to stimulate that. And that's why Bulgarian split squats don't work, because it doesn't stimulate that. But anyway, back on subject. It doesn't. I'm just,
he's got an axe to grind. We need another episode so he can just go for as long as he wants on the Bulgarian split squats.
No, I just want to add that in because it's a comparison, right?
You're good.
It's not creating a level of change that's going to have your body react to it. So you got to have something that elicits a change hard. So we use the Olympic lifts to create mobility. That's one of the things it does. And then we also use to kind of build the jump a little bit. And it does do balance. Like the snatch does almost everything. It's strength, accuracy, balance. I mean, you're trying to hit a target with a barbell. So like I said, using things in the gym that do multiple things, but mostly, yes, the Olympic lifting is to create mobility. But secondhand, it also helps build the jump a little bit. I hope I answered your question. Didn't drift off.
Absolutely. Alex? I was just letting Alex give a chance to respond to that.
I'm just trying to process how I'm going to get myself to be able to do snatches now. That's all. I'm just trying to go through.
What you do when we get off of this podcast, you text me and then I'll take you through it. We'll do your first day of snatches, film it, and then we'll film you in 30 days. I'll show you guys what I do as a coach. I don't have to just sit here and talk about it.
There you go.
I mean, clearly it works. The shit I see that comes out of your gym is absolutely insane. So there's a lot of merit to what you're saying. It's just, it's completely counterintuitive to what a lot of people think. And that's what I think is so fascinating about it, right? Is you've obviously figured out your own method, and
their intuition is wrong.
Fair.
Yeah. It comes down to limited resources, right? I'm in Hawaii. I'm in an outdoor gym in Hawaii and I'm doing my own thing. I have connection to social media. And when I started doing this, social media wasn't what it is now. You could find people that were actually good at what they did and they were just putting out their training and whatnot. But being locked in my gym away from everybody in Hawaii, one of our secrets I think we have to winning is you should know the history of your sport, but you shouldn't give two shits about what anybody in your class or anybody near you is doing, because you're limiting yourself to their performance. Now, if a bunch of people came into my gym when I first started training Station for powerlifting, and you guys told me what the people lifted and what was going on, and I didn't try to just make her strong as a man, she wouldn't be where she's at right now because we had built-in limitations. So I think being locked in my gym away from everybody kind of helped develop a program, because instead of reading about what somebody said in some study, don't get me started on studies, instead of reading about what somebody said in some study, I was studying people in front of my face. So no, I'm not a scientist, and you can't say anything I've done in my gym could be a scientific study when it should be. But I've worked thousands of athletes across multiple sports and found the commonalities in the movements to pick what we do and steer my program. So it's 100% performance driven. I don't have anything in my program that doesn't do something. There's no fluff in my program. I don't have time to waste for that.
So you would probably strongly agree that the anecdotal evidence seems to far outweigh whatever study someone's paying for most of the time then, right?
Yeah, what happens in real life? How many scientists in America have produced champion powerlifters? I'll wait. We wait a long time. None. Zero, not one. So if you don't understand the subject well enough, how are you going to test it correctly? So let's say you want to test muscle activation on a squat. Oh, we grabbed 10 athletes and we tested their squat. Okay, cool. What were those athletes' backgrounds? Because if they have different sports and different backgrounds, they're clearly going to have a different result, and it's going to read a different result from what they're trying to study. Let's say muscle activation of a squat, right? What muscles are working. Then they don't even go into detail on that. And if they do, that's great. Oh, couch potato, this one's a runner. Now they did the squat. What position were they in? What degree were their feet out? Where were their toes? What were their positions? Did they have internal rotation? Did that person move perfectly? They don't know what to test to give us anything that gives us a great result. Unless you go way back, like Lombard's paradox. If everybody would study Lombard's paradox, we wouldn't be in this mess of a system that we're in with current lifting and whatnot. Lombard's paradox states that an antagonistic muscle helps a muscle finish a lift and complete it. So what that means is when you're trying to stand up from a squat and your quads are trying to push, your hamstrings are extending to help your quads push. That lack of understanding of that simple study, that could cure everything. You guys know when that study came out? I think it was 1903, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, he wasn't on social media trying to get popular for his study. He was actually
Speaking of people not trying to get popular, did you ever have a chance to go train at Westside and meet Louis while he was around?
I didn't get to train with Louis. I did get to meet him. Stacia got to train with him. She trained with him for a few weeks straight. I was up there for the Arnold, and if you've been up there for the Arnold and been to Westside, Louis was over everything. You know what I mean? Like I could tell he was just over it. I don't want to be in his way. I don't want to get in his way. My wife wanted to tell him hi. I got to shake his hand. I took a picture, and that's it. I never got to have a conversation with him or anything, which I wish I did. I don't like to bug people, man. I run a gym. I know what it's like. When he was trying to train, he was in the middle of his workout, and people kept coming in and bothering him. So I was like, nah.
Right.
I'm gonna put my personal BS aside and let that man do his thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the old guard. It seems like he didn't fit into the new world of social media and things like that. Like he's trying to still be himself, but everyone else is trying to do something different to make him fit into a specific pigeonhole that they like or whatever. It seems like.
I don't fit either. I know how that feels. Like, I'm old school, man. I know
That's all right. I have a lot of respect for that. It's like you're saying you wouldn't be what you were without being who you are, essentially, and that's what makes you.
Being old school just basically means that, older school people just have more rules they place on themselves for how they function in the world, how they carry themselves, how they deal with people, that's it. And these days it's just almost no rules to anything, no respect, no rules, no accountability. I got a rule in my gym. This might get misread. If you swear in my gym during training, you usually get a punishment. And the reason is I don't like my guys to swear, not because we're holy rolling or it's something else. If you swore in a manner that was a dominating, aggressive fashion, I don't care. But if you swear because you're like, oh, fuck, I do not like that. Because you're showing your ass. Suffer in silence. Because you go into a meet and you're competing with somebody or something, and you go and have that reaction to something, you just showed a chink in your armor. So yes, vent to your coach. Yes, talk to your team. But when you're competing and you're in certain places, behave a certain way. Behave a certain way that doesn't, I don't know.
Show you. Yeah, it's just, there's no boundaries or no limits for how people can or will act in today's society, it seems like. So good for you for having standards still. I appreciate that.
Oh, man. My kids are all old school. I don't know what they do in the real world when they walk in this gym. This gym's old school.
Yeah.
Old school. Because I'll tell you what, you either be respectful to everybody, you follow the rules. And I'm talking about rules that we're trying to be controlling. We're just talking about normal rules that keep people safe and everybody respectful. And if you don't follow my rules, I don't give two shits about what you pay in a month. You can get a refund and get the hell out of my gym. This gym's out of my house too, bro. It's a different level of respect.
Like it. I was going to say, you may not think you're good on social media, but I enjoy all your posts, especially when you're ranting about people and their dumb shit. I'm like, oh, thank God.
I just go on social media and get mad and start posting and people get so butthurt over my page. But they don't realize every post I'm talking trash, I'm giving gold. If you know how to sift through the bullshit.
Yeah.
1000%. Yep.
You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. I appreciate all of them. I'm like, this is great. At least somebody fucking gets it because you're
I'm
right.
not
These
giving
new
you
people
gold.
don't.
Yeah, I've been giving you gold and you're complaining about the bag it's in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't like this bag. It's not a Louis bag. Like I don't have to make it. I don't have to make what I'm doing that easy. I took years and years and years to learn what I'm saying. You know, if you can, and the other thing is if you can have somebody read my post and pick up on what I'm trying to say and follow the breadcrumbs, they'll get to some place they might not have gotten to before. But if you're just like, oh my God, this guy's always negative. Oh, he's always this, he's always that. What people don't realize is social media is not my real life. I got a whole world that people don't know about that I live that's outside of social media. You know, it doesn't define me. Social media is where I get rid of all my negative thoughts. That's where I place it. And then I go live my regular life without it, you know?
It's like your therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I got to get it off my chest because honestly, I see so much crap, man. And I just want to like drop my page and not do it anymore. Not do the social media, you know, but what keeps me on is like this. Like I wouldn't be here with you guys if I didn't have social media. I've met a
Right.
lot of good friends. We've been a lot of good places. You know, I'm really good friends with Donnie Thompson just because of social media, you know, and we've met, but I mean, like, started at social media. So it's a necessary evil, but yeah, I can't help but get on there and vent. Otherwise, I'd probably just close my account.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I was gonna say there's that video of your wife doing that fucking snatch in the rain. Didn't that go like on Sports Center? I think I saw it. I was like, what the fuck
I
is
was on
this?
I was on ESPN, I was on TMZ, Access Hollywood. It's went everywhere. Yeah, we got all the plays, just none of the notoriety. People like to not know us.
Yeah. I saw when you first posted it, and I go, that's fucking crazy. And then I kept seeing it over and over, and I'm like, oh wow, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, you know it's funny. She learned that from me. When I was doing my program, I had strained my bicep tendon. I didn't hurt it. I strained it a little. You know, you
Mhm.
bench, you feel a little weird. So for a couple of days, I just did one-handed work. And when she first walked in my gym, I was doing one-handed snatches with a barbell, and that's what started that whole thing. So if you see a video of her doing that, that's my fault. I apologize because I'm sick of her videos of her one-handed snatching. When like that video in the rain, dude, when that thing comes on, I forget the song that's on it. When I hear it, I'm like, turn that song off. Like I can't take it.
I mean, yeah, I think she's in a dress and high heels in the rain doing fucking shit that nobody
Yeah.
can really do. Like,
So,
what more level of difficulty do we need here?
I'm such a safety freak and I'm such a nervous wreck for being safe in the gym that once a year on New Year's at midnight, that's why she's dressed like that because we have our little family party here.
Mhm.
We'll go outside and I let her do whatever stupid shit that she's been wanting to do. And I'm half the time I'm like watching with my eyes blocked because I'm like, fuck, man, what did I create here? You know, because she does some dude that one-handed snatch off the knee jump off her knees. Try that with a PVC with no roller skates. She did on roller skates.
Oh my God.
Yeah, insane.
She's like the guy that does all the crazy ass, like on a skateboard with chains and lifting. Like, is she's just gonna keep building to that level? Is
I
it
don't know. I don't know. That guy's out of control, bro. That
that
guy's way out of
guy's
control. Like for her, you know, she's testing her skills. She's so good two-handed. She'll start doing one-handed stuff or whatever else. And for her, it's just testing her athletic ability, I think, mostly, you know, and it's never, she'll post because, you know, of course she's gonna post, it's her log, but she's not doing it for attention. A lot of people think she's doing it for attention, but
sure.
trust me, there's a lot of times the cameras aren't playing and she's doing something I really wish she wasn't doing in here. You know, you can't train somebody to be a savage athletically and tell them to not do things. You know, oh, be a savage, be athletic, but don't backflip. Like I can't stop her. She's gonna use what she's got.
Yeah, that's a good quote. That's a good quote.
How often do you get to train yourself? Are you still training pretty regularly?
Oh man, so I'm back drag racing again, and I have this little thing going on that I'll share with you guys. I fit into the same leather suit that I fit into 20 years ago. When I raced 20 years ago. Racetrack closed back in 2006. And I raced, we had a super ferry, then I raced in 2008, and I hadn't raced, and I got back into my old suit. If I train too much, anything, I won't fit my suit. So I train like 3 times a week. I might hit like, you know, box. I try to maintain my mobility, you know, hit a snatch, try to hit a deadlift, hit a squat, but I'm not training like I wanna. I want to cut loose and train, but I gotta let it go and get a new leather suit, man. It's kind of wild to still fit my same suit from 20 years ago, and most guys can't do that.
That's
So,
super crazy. How fast do you got the bike going now?
the best we've been is 980. We're the quickest
Christ.
Indian scout on earth and the quickest Indian street bike on earth.
That's got to be. I try to explain this to people because I ride a Harley and I go, there's nothing that feels faster than a motorcycle. Like,
No,
just it's not a thing. I don't care how fast your car is. It doesn't feel like that two wheels.
and it's closer to an animal than a vehicle, I feel, a motorcycle.
Yeah,
I mean, it's closer to a horse than it is to a car, I think.
I could agree with that.
Whole
And
experience.
there are people who are like, you're crazy. I go, I know, but that's the whole point of it. Like, that's the whole point of powerlifting. Like, you get under the heavy weight that you don't know if you can do it or not because it's the crazy part.
That's why we love geared powerlifting. You know what I mean? Because it's so much more extreme. You still got to be strong.
Right. Yeah. How much do you think is like, because people always want to make that excuse, right? Of like, oh, it's the equipment. How much of it is do you think really is the equipment? It's probably not as much as people assume, huh?
Every person who says it's all the equipment would be put into a suit or a shirt and not be able to bench what they do raw. I've seen it multiple times. You got to be strong enough to use the suit. You got to know where it goes. You have to be like a surgeon in gear. You have to be operating a scalpel. In raw, you can be like a battle axe, just battle through the door. You know what I mean? You
Mhm.
can move here, you can move there. People's knees can knock. They can do this, arms resting on their legs. You can't do that in geared lifting. How much you get, it all depends on your gear you're using and your carryover and whatnot. But not really, can't really compare it because they're kind of years apart. But Stacia's best classic raw squat was 308, and her best geared squat was 426 pounds, 426. So
4 times their body weight in gear. That's fucking insane.
yeah, she's been having some crazy squat days.
That's nuts. And the pro-am you're doing is all equipped, right?
Yeah, equipped, geared, multiply. Except for our shirt. Our shirt's been single ply forever because we have trouble having people wanting to help us get in a multiply shirt.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing with the equipped lifting, right? Is you got to have like a whole crew, almost like with a fucking bike. You got to have a pit crew.
Yeah, except it's just me and her though. So we have to
Yeah.
figure out, what size gear that we can use that we can get on together and get everything just me and her. I could use like two more guys, definitely. But you can't depend on she knows I'm gonna show up for her, and I know she's gonna show up. So I mean that's the only two people we can really depend on. We don't want to add anything to the equation that, oh, Tom can't make it, he's in traffic, and then your whole game plan gets screwed up. No, we're not doing that.
Now, do you have a monolift that you train on, or is that
Yes.
something that? Yeah.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
them on.
Nice. That's a big switch that I got to get used to because APO is monolift only, and I have yet to actually use one. So
Getting used to, man. We hated it at first.
really,
Yeah, we scored it. It's I think we're the only gym with an outdoor monolith. But yeah, we
what's the
didn't like
maintenance like
it.
on that?
Uh,
What's the
oh, it's
maintenance
good.
like on that?
It's powder coated, but our air is so bad, like you can see it start to surface rust under the powder coat.
Oh shit.
Oh wow.
So you're spraying oil where you see rust and where it's peeling on the powder coat. That's the main thing, is getting oil to repel the salt.
Does being outside fuck with the jack at all for changing the height and stuff, or no?
Oh, we go through jacks like crazy. I don't think there's a monolith on Earth with a well working jack. Those things always blow up, man. Ours been leaking oil for like 6 years. We just keep filling it and letting it leak.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Like they'll blow a seal, and you got to have someone either fix it or get a new jack, right?
Yeah, you got to get a new jack, and then depending on the model you got to modify it to work for your application, because a lot of these have special heads on them to operate in a monolift, and a regular car jack doesn't come with that. So all things you got to take into consideration: is the jack height the same? If I get a jack height that's wrong, I can't get the monolift low enough for Stacia. I actually had to drill an extra hole to get the monolift lower than it actually went because
Oh
she's
shit.
so tiny.
Wow.
Yeah, we tried building her up on blocks, but in our gym, if you mentally are, how do I say this? If you're
See.
mentally ready to be in our station during the lifting, I don't care what you lift. We'll strip the weight for you.
Hmm.
So like, we'd have times where we got one kid who's like 110 pounds of chain with 95 pounds in the bar, and the top guy's got like, 800 pounds on the bar with 110 pounds of chain. But make my guys only make them stronger, unload the weight. So unloading the weight and pulling out the boxes for her height was bad, so I modified it so we could get low enough for her to squat. And it's still close. When the weight gets heavy enough, we got to kind of put the weight back in the rack because she, you squash down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. That's fucking crazy.
When is the Cincinnati Pro Am? How close is that coming up?
Like 5 days.
5 days.
Is it it's what is it, Saturday next weekend? Next
Oh
Sunday?
wow. Oh
We
wow.
compete next
Is it on Sunday?
Yeah. So what is it, Saturday? We fly out this week and then get up there and do some prep.
I was about to say I knew it was coming close. I thought we talked about that
Yeah.
last time, Alex. So
And we train right up into the meet.
okay.
We train. We don't take no days off or lighten up we
No
like it,
deloads.
huh?
No deloads, you said. No deloads.
Oh, deload. Think about when you're training, when do you get strong? In the middle of your training, you're going at it, you're tired, you're wrecked, you're eating, but what's happening? You're getting strong. Why would you change that? And for us, peaking is a myth. There's no way in hell you're going to be able to peak your body with consistency, I feel. Depending on the position. I mean, the full moon affects us. Come on, the moon cycle of when your meet's going to be? No, you don't. You control, you fought with your husband or your wife the night before. You might got fired from your job, whatever it is. That you have to, we get totals on our everyday strength. And that means that we go into a meet trying to lift what we have every single day. I don't care about that extra 10, 15 pounds on a special day of the week. That's trash. We want to be able to lift what we can do all the time. So it's a real indicator of our strength. So we train right up into the meet.
Yeah, so you're at your best all the time. You know when you're just you'll know your strength levels no matter what. You just like
Our 2 days of recovery that we put on in our program are enough to fully reset my athletes into another week. So my guys can do a meet anytime.
sure. And your
I wish
condition
somebody would. I wish somebody would try and hit us up and be like, "We want to go head to head tomorrow." I'm like, "Yeah, when, what time, where? Just say so. It's all good. We'll have my guys ready."
Yeah. Yeah, because you probably have them at a level of conditioning that it doesn't even matter, right? So that's why you don't, because you talked about how important conditioning was. So it doesn't matter to
Yes.
even take deloads because you are at a level of conditioning that your body's recovering at a higher rate. So
And I know we rest, and I know we go into a resting state, and you can get like a delayed adaptation to what you're doing. But when your body's in rest, it's in rest. And if you go past your normal rest day, like let's say guys take 4 days off before a meet, you usually get 1 day off or two. You get to day 3, your body's like, "What's going on?" Day 4, your body's like, "Oh, we're in a full rest state." Now you're going into a meet, hitting your warm-ups, wondering why they feel like trash. It's because your body shut everything down for strength and it's in 100% recovery mode. And touching on the conditioning, so many powerlifters don't want to condition, and that's cool. Say you're lazy and you don't want to condition. Say that. But don't say conditioning is not necessary.
yeah.
Because the guys who say conditioning is not necessary will be the same one puking after their first deadlift because they're so tired. If you can't do 9 max effort lifts in one day and not be like totally wrecked, you need to condition.
Sure.
These guys are like, "Oh, I gotta take 2 weeks off after my meet." Well, maybe you should train harder. I don't know, man.
Fucking
Oh,
hallelujah. Thank you. I
Oh.
get so sick of that shit. People are like, "You're gonna work out tomorrow?" I go, "Yeah, why wouldn't I fucking work out tomorrow?"
Yeah, day after the meet. If it's a training day, you train. If it's an off day, you're off. Like, it's pretty simple. If it's a Monday, we're off. If it's the day we lift Saturday, we're training on Sunday. It's mandatory.
how do you structure your conditioning for your guys? Is it more just long state stuff, or do you kind of do stations or
We do
circuit
everything.
worker, or just kind of mix things in intermittently?
Well, I think the most conditioning is also something that's not well defined. You say conditioning and somebody thinks they got to run 5
Right.
miles.
Right.
Important thing to conditioning in weightlifting and sport is anaerobic conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
That's moving a barbell, moving your body weight. CrossFit does it really well. HIIT does it. Tabatas do it. But I mean, it's moving a barbell and moving your body weight together for rounds, for reps, high reps. That builds an anaerobic conditioning that we need. We also need the running. Running is important to have your heart be able to operate at a high rate for a long period of time, so your body knows what it's like to be in a long state of athleticism. But it all works together. You can't just do one or the other. So the way it's structured is, you guys want me to go into my program a little bit? How it is? It's so let's say we're gonna do a leg day, like today. So the first thing I'll have Stacia do to start off her training is she'll sprint 550 meters as quick as she can for what she's got. Every day it's different because every day you're in a different state of recovery, right? So she'll run that after she comes in. We have her on a 10-minute clock. So the run is part of the 10-minute clock. And when she comes in, she'll perform some kind of body weight warm up. So let's just say we'll perform 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, and 15 air squats repeatedly for the rest of her 10 minutes. After that is done, that 10-minute piece, she's going to take a short break to, rest, get her stuff set up. Maybe 6 minutes rest, reset the body, and then she's going to do a barbell and body weight movement. Let's just say 21, 15, 9 power snatches and a 100-meter run. We ran already, so it wouldn't be a 100-meter run. Let's say pull-ups or sit-ups or something. Then she'll do that for her rounds and reps. Then she puts all of that stuff away. That's going to take about 10 minutes. And then that resets her body. So if you go too hard, too long, you go into a fight or flight. And after 45 minutes, you have to chill so your testosterone can reset so you don't go into that fight or flight in a bad way. So these breaks in between the movements are actually built in to reset the body. 10 minutes after anaerobic conditioning, she'll start her box squats. And then from there, she'll go box squats, sumo deadlifts, 1 or 2 accessories, and then she's done.
Interesting.
And
her GPP is at an all-time high then, for sure. Like, just, I mean, if you're consistently running stuff like that all the time, her GPP has to be at a super high level.
Yeah. And the thing is, nobody really realizes is, let's say you're at X amount of strength, you can total X. If you throw away all your powerlifting movements and you got a well-balanced anaerobic conditioning program, you could do that for 3 months and come back and not really be way off for your strength. You actually might be stronger.
Interesting.
Conditioning kills. My father said something a long time ago that I took with me. A conditioned muscle is a strong muscle.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
I try to explain that to people. They go, well, why are we doing this? I go, well, the better condition you're in, the more strength you can express for a longer period of time. Like,
Yes.
strength is the nervous system. It's not anything else.
Repeated strength is super important, and then also, like, with her training, she's hitting her lifting pre-exhausted. So her lifting always feels way worse than a meet will ever feel.
Right.
Because we're not doing all that other stuff before a meet. So we train to make everything easy.
Yeah.
And conditioning is so important, man. Like he said, to be able to repeat your strength efforts over and over and over, that's true strength. That's true strength right there.
Yeah,
Like,
I try to get people to understand that. Like, the training should be way worse than the competition.
Yeah. 100%.
Every time I have an athlete do a comp, they're like, that was way easier than training.
Yeah.
Like, that's the
Brother,
point.
that is the secret right there. People, because of social media, and people want to make everything seem more important than it is. People make a meet or the competition a giant that they end up not being able to slay. They give it too much credit. They're giving too much credit to their enemy. Your meet is the enemy, not somebody else. Your total, the barbell for you, that's a battle for you to go into. So why make it big? I make training so scary that a meet is a joke to my guys. A lot of times we enter a meet with like 12 kids, football players or whatever, and they're running around playing. Everybody's slapping themselves, trying to get psyched up. And my kids are laughing and joking and smashing the weights because it's not bad as a max effort at 50. It's just 9 lifts or 3 lifts if it's a single lift meet.
Sure.
So yeah, I 100% agree, man. Make your training scary so meets are a joke.
It's good. Alex, you got anything? You got anything else?
Not at the moment. That was awesome. I really appreciate it. Now I got to go do some running and snatch. Those are the 2 things I don't have in my program at the moment.
I'll train your snatch. You just got to make sure you film your first ones and then we'll go over it. We just hit me up in my DMs, bro. Hit some snatches, send it over to me in my DM, and then
well, first I got to try the overhead squat again. So last time I tried the overhead squat, my shoulder would dislocate every 3 months, and now it's been 3 years since that's happened. So I might actually be able to do it now. So
you want to do something for me real quick? Can you stand up on camera right now?
Yeah.
Oh. You stand up and be relaxed, facing me as far back as you can.
Oh shit. I can still hear you. What do you need me to do?
Try and get to where you can stand relaxed, straight up, and just relax, arms at your side. Okay, turn halfway. And okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. We got to fix your shoulders, brother.
Yeah, I've been working on that as much as I can.
Your posterior, your front shoulders are taking over your joint a little too much. So that's gonna allow your it's not going to allow your shoulder to be in the right position for a snatch. So I can give you some stuff to address your thoracic spine because you're working on your shoulders muscularly, right?
Mhm.
What's happening is we got to correct your spine because the function of your shoulders you need to add a little bit more thoracic extension to your
Right.
mobility. And once you do that, then your muscles will start functioning correctly to where you can actually build it. Because right now it's getting built in a way that your thoracic is kind of fighting yourself.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
I'm not sitting here trying to shit on you, but this is
No, you're good.
the whole the reason why I go crazy on Instagram is like I'll see a lifter that doesn't want any help, won't take help from somebody. And they'll be on there and they'll be like, oh, just came off of my injury, you know, da da da, feels so good today. And then they'll be squatting or deadlifting in a way that creates the injury they're talking about.
Right.
So I see that nonstop. That's why you see me losing my mind on social media. So
That's
Yeah,
just,
no.
yeah. I mean, you just sounds like you're a passionate coach to me. And so,
well, I take my job seriously, and that's how
Yeah.
you are.
for sure.
You can destroy someone's whole future. You can take a kid, and if you're good at what you do, that kid can be injury free. They can get a scholarship to college. That's already step one. You save that family thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even some colleges, right?
Mhm.
And then if they stay healthy and they're good enough, they can go and be a professional. They can play a stick and ball sport and be millionaires for playing a game. As a strength and conditioning coach, if we can't do that 100% without injuring somebody, we shouldn't. Because let's say we take the same kid. He comes to me, I train him wrong, he hurts his shoulder. Now that kid's in construction doing a labor job, and he has no chance of his college, or his parents have to pay for college, no chance of the pros. You just change that kid's whole trajectory of his life. And if you stop somebody who can go to a professional sport from going to professional sport, it's not only the money for them to take care of their family and their kids, but how many kids will they positively affect as an athlete when they are a pro athlete? So
Right.
you rob so many people of so much if you're out in the gym not knowing what you really need to do. And there's too many mimics in this industry, meaning, oh, 3 sets of 10 bench press, bro. Like you can give somebody that kind of work and it'll work to a point. But people need to, as coaches, we need to break down and understand in more detail what is doing what and why. Why
Right.
is that? Why is that doing that? Because if you're a really good coach, and you know how the body moves, you can look at any sport and see what's the problem. Any sport. That's what I
Yeah, for
believe.
sure.
Definitely.
Ironic you say that because I was going to do some thoracic extension stuff today.
I got some specific stuff for you, brother. That'll work real good. And just hit me up. I'm a little busy right now with the pro-am thing.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Heading outside right now. We're gonna do some max effort. We should have coordinated for you guys to watch some max effort while we're doing this. That would have been cool.
Yeah,
That
maybe
would've
next
been
time
cool.
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That would have been cool. Except for the hurricane winds outside. Not how good the mic would be.
We got the same problem here. I had to actually come
Cheers.
home from the gym because they were cutting the power to the gym because they're worried about the fucking power lines blowing over and starting a fire.
Brother, we're having 50, 60 mile an hour gusts today.
Wow.
Yeah, same
Guys are
thing
all
here.
outside and getting blown around the gym.
Jeez.
But yeah, awesome. Thank you, man. I really appreciated taking the time and educating us. That was awesome.
I hope I
For
wasn't
sure.
too boring.
No,
Oh,
dude.
no, you're great.
You're awesome. We really
I gotta
appreciate
ask
it.
you race too, brother?
No, I haven't raced. Actually, my grandma did it back in the 60s. She would race top alcohol dragsters. So my dad learned from her, and then we just fucked around with
wow.
street cars and stuff, and then like motorcycles. So my dad built motorcycles, and that's kind of what I got into when I was younger.
Guess what? My father used to race. My father used to race top alcohol dragster.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pro comp and then top alcohol dragster. That's crazy. They probably
Yeah.
raced in the same era.
Yeah. She did it in
Sure
California
my
in the
father
60s.
was. I'm not sure when my father raced top alcohol in the States because he raced in the entry in the mainland, but they had to have been racing. That was late 60s, maybe early 70s. Maybe he was a little after her.
No, that's the one my grandma was doing. That's what my dad was talking about when ones and fucking sitting in the pumpkins right below your nuts and the fucking engines in front of you like a chance of blowing up and shit.
That engine drag, bro, those things will chop your legs off if the rear end blows up.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, my father was rear engine and funny car, so
Okay.
funny car, still got the rear end under you, but his dragster, his slingshots were all rear engine.
Okay, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I haven't had the chance to race, and they unfortunately closed the racetrack here.
Ours closed in 2006, man.
Yeah.
On Oahu. So we have racetracks on Kauai, Maui and the Big Island, and we have no racetrack in the state capital. Closed in 06.
Yeah,
So we
that
got to
sucks.
take our bike to an outer island and then fly to race there.
Mm,
Oh wow.
Not fun.
not
I
fun.
definitely enjoy watching those videos though, especially because you're always wrapping it with different colors. I mean, is this a different bike? I mean, this guy's just wrapping it, isn't he?
Oh man, did you see the new one I got on it now?
Yeah, it's fucking sweet.
That thing's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, looking like an actual dragster at this point, right? And fucking all these different
Yeah,
ads and shit.
but it's still a street bike, man. That's still our date night vehicle and our daily when it's home.
Wow.
Yeah.
What I race is mandatory. It has to be street legal. It has to be able to run in the street. That's just
Yep.
my own.
No, I
Every
get that.
everyday strong, bro. Nobody cares what you can do once on a weekend.
But yeah, no, my bike looks like a pro street bike, but it's not fast enough to be one.
I actually raced Pro Street, AMA
Yep.
Pro Star when they're still around before they closed. I actually got to race the last year they were around. Luckily, I got to go and be a part of that for a little bit.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, when I get done with the powerlifting thing, maybe I'll get on the racetrack, but not
Hit me
right
up
now
when
at
you're
the
ready to
moment.
ride bikes. I'll tell you how to set your bike up. I got all
Yeah,
the tricks.
for sure. Yeah.
I got a checklist of what to do. That's just like my lifting, bro. Guaranteed results.
That's
Right,
awesome.
right.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
no, that sounds like a great time. I really appreciate it, man. This has been awesome.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate
Yeah.
you guys.
Absolutely,
Yeah, good
man.
luck in Cincinnati. I'll see if I can get a live stream and watch what happens because that shit's gonna be awesome.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Thanks,
I might
Jack.
thinking about your stuff real quick. I might tell Stacia to go live on her IG for her last squat session.
Okay.
Just
Awesome.
if you guys check it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Absolutely.
All right, boys. You guys have a good day.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you too, man, and best of luck to you guys and travel safe.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, have a good one.